Welcome to my YouTube channel, SDM Mechanical Engineering Concept. Today we are going to learn how to assemble a DDA 1000p submersible pump. So in here in the motor seat, there is a capacitor and some other wirings. As you can see, I'm trying to fix the motor into its seat. This seat, that plastic ring you see, is a rubber seal that seals off water and prevents water from entering into the wirings and the capacitor. This apparatus keeps the rubber seal in the right position. It maintains the position of the rubber seal, and also it keeps it fastened so as to prevent the water from entering the wiring in the motor seat. That motor seat could work as the control box for other pumps, because for other submersible pumps the control box houses the capacitor, but for this particular pump the capacitor is housed in the motor seat. So I'm going to fasten the motor seat to this ring that keeps the rubber seal in position with the 6 screws. These are 6 screws that I use. They are 6 screws, and make sure as you tighten them diagonally or in opposite direction. Fasten the first screw and then also fasten the opposite screw like that until you are done with the 6 screws. Make sure you use the right tool to fasten the screws. These ones use this tool. It is a Y, it's not a star, it is in a Y form. That is the tool used for this particular pump, but some other pump or the same pump might have some other screws depending on the manufacturer's desire. So this is the motor housing that I'm going to fix. I'm trying to fix the motor housing or the motor casing. This houses the motor. So make sure as you fit it, make sure it is fixed well in the right position, and make sure this pinholes on the motor housing match the pinholes on the pump end. So this is the pump end that has the outlet where water comes out from the pump. As you can see, this has a right position where it enters freely. Make sure you look for that right position. Keep rotating it until you look for the right position where it enters freely. Make sure you don't force it, because it is plastic, it can easily be broken. So make sure you look for the right position where it can fit well. So I'm trying to also look for that right position where I can fit it well using minimum force. The 2 wires you see, one is for the float switch and one is for the power supply. So look for that right position until you get it, and then you fix it. You fix the pump end very well. So that is the right position, as you can see. Make sure you fasten the motor housing to the pump end using the screws. There are 3 screws for this specific pump. I'm now trying to match the holes of the screws of the motor housing and those of the pump end or the pump outlet. Gently hammer. Apply some small force until they are fastened together in order to put the screws. There are 3 screws, and tighten them, and make sure the pump end is fastened very well to the motor casing. Make sure you choose the right tools. This specific one uses star. As you see, as I tighten, the space is sealed off. I'm now going to put the mechanical seal. This is the mechanical seal that prevents water from entering into the motor windings. So make sure you fit it very well. This is the mechanical seal. Then these are impellers of this pump. This pump has 4 impellers, as you can see. That is the inner look of the impellers. So there are 4 of them. That is the inner look, and they are plastic for this specific pump. As you can see, there are 4. Make sure as you fix them on the motor shaft, make sure you look for that position where they enter freely with minimum force, with little or no force. But make sure you don't force them, because they are plastic, they can easily get broken. So look for that specific point where they can easily enter freely with minimum force. If they are not entering, first check whether they were assembled very well, and then make sure you look for that right position. So I'm also trying to look for that right position in which they can fit very well on the shaft. So that is the right position. I'm now fixing the last impeller. It should also be able to enter freely and fixed on the shaft. So after, there are 6 screws used to fasten these impellers on the whole assembly or the apparatus. So these screws fasten the impellers together with the motor housing, and they maintain the position of the impellers. Make sure there are 6 screws, but make sure as you tighten them in opposite manner or diagonally in order to balance the torque. After tightening the first screw, tighten the opposite screw like that until you get done with the 6 screws. This helps you to balance the torque and also to center very well the impellers for the smooth running of the pump. So use the right tool to tighten the screws. As you can see, I'm going to tighten the first screw. I'm now trying to tighten the first screw. Make sure you don't use too much force. Should be able to enter with minimum force if it is in the right position. After fastening the first screw, turn to the opposite side and then fasten the opposite screw. This helps you to balance the torque and also to center the impellers. So after, I'm going now to fix the pump housing. That is stainless steel, is the pump housing, and then this is the bottom suction. The hose you see is the suction point of the pump. This is the bottom suction pump. So I'm trying to fix the suction part of the pump to fasten it on the whole assembly. It has 3 screws that we use. So these are the 3 screws, as you can see, that are used to fasten the suction part of the pump onto the whole assembly. After tightening, we are going to test our pump, but for this very pump we tested on assembling, or after dismantling, we found out that water had entered into the windings of the motor due to the faulty mechanical seal. So the motor efficiency had reduced. So this is our pump after assembling. This is the outlet of the pump. This is the outlet of the pump, as you can see, and this is a float switch. It has a float switch which switches off the pump when water is below the required level to prevent the dry run of the pump, and switches on the pump when water is at the required level. So we tested our pump, but it had low pressure and low flow. This was caused by the reduced efficiency of the motor because water had entered into the motor winding due to the faulty mechanical seal. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel.